Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am back, your movie guru, with another review. And this time I will be reviewing none other than James Bond, No Time to Die. Going to start off right up front with the rating. It's got 83% positive score by the critics on Rotten Tomatoes and a 89% positive score so far by the audience. Um, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. And I just want to preface this. I'm a big James Bond fan. I've been watching the movies for decades. Growing up, I can remember watching them. I thought James Bond was the coolest. I always enjoyed seeing his films, even the old ones. You're talking like Sean Connery or Timothy Dalton, Roger Moore. I've had my favorites growing up, but just the character of Bond I've always enjoyed. And I have enjoyed Daniel Craig's run as Bond. For those of you who don't know anything about it, so this film carries on from 2015 Spectre, in that Bond is retired, but his old friend from the CIA, Felix, gets him involved in something that's going on and he needs Bond's help. And so James once again comes into action and tries to save the world again. I thought this movie was very entertaining. It had everything that, if you're watching this movie, odds are pretty good that you've seen a Bond movie before, or you're a fan of Bond, and you know what you've come to expect when you see these films. So in some circumstances that can make it easier because, you've got a targeted audience, you know what they want, and, you can provide them what they want. In some cases that can be harder, and I've seen some franchises do this wrong, in that it can either try too hard to deliver what the film, what the franchise is known for, or sometimes it can become too generic, too formulaic. When there's nothing distinguishing about a film, it's just, another one in this franchise of films. It doesn't have its own distinguishing characteristic, that makes you specifically want to see this film. They didn't do that in this one. So I gave you the basic plot of the film, but a little bit more about the outside. This is going to be, if you don't know, this is going to be Daniel Craig's last run as James Bond. So he first started in 2006 Casino Royale, and then concluding with 2021's No Time to Die. And, this is going to conclude his run. He's had 5 films. Some of them I didn't think were really good, and then some were great. Particularly Casino Royale, it was so good. It's one of my actual favorite Bond films ever. Daniel Craig's run hasn't been, without its hits and misses. Like I said, I really enjoyed Casino Royale. I really enjoyed Skyfall. I thought Spectre was okay. Not a fan of Quantum of Solace at all. This one I thought was pretty good. Like I said, it did a good job of providing the entertainment you're looking for. When you come to see a Bond movie, you're expecting to see, James. He's this really suave guy. You expect to see him in nice suits. You expect to see him in nice cars. You expect car chase scenes. Great gun battles, and it 100% provides on all that. It delivers, but in ways that aren't just formulaic. They had some things to keep it fresh. There's a scene, a gun battle scene, that concluded from a car chase that happens in a forest that I thought was really well shot, and seeing the action take place on screen, it was impressive. In the very beginning of the film, there were some action scenes that I thought were pretty cool. And it maintains that throughout. So it's not, hey, we put all this action at the beginning, and then it dies out, or we put it all in the middle, but the beginning and the end, don't live up to it. It was very well paced. It brings the action throughout the film, and the plot was good. I won't say that I thought the plot was amazing. It definitely had its unique elements. It wasn't formulaic to say. The biggest thing for me that takes away from me giving this a higher rating, otherwise I can see myself giving it an 8 out of 10, maybe even an 8.5, were Rami Malek's character as the villain. For those of you, you know that I'm a big fan of Rami Malek. I think he's a great actor. Really can sell a character. And his villain, I don't want to say that I had over the top expectations, but I had better expectations for him than just your kind of generic cookie cutter villain. And his villain, it works. He works as a plot device to move the plot along and to understand why the characters are doing what they're doing, but he definitely doesn't rise to that level of this is an iconic movie villain that when I think of this movie I'm going to think of this villain. And I've long said that I think that villains, maybe even more so than heroes, make films. The biggest reason why is, we tend to put all this emphasis on the hero, but to make what the hero does heroic, to make their feats legendary, they have to have someone to match up to that they're going against. If you ever think about an epic sports win, or something of that nature, there has to be an epic rival. No one's going to talk about, oh, this was such a great game, and you saw an NFL team beating up on a high school team. It's got to be this great villain, and the hero was able to overcome that. And I think that, given Rami Malek's acting ability, I think that he could have risen to that level given, given a character to fit that. So that's not to say that, the character is bad or, he doesn't do a good job. I just believe that the potential for something a lot more was there. But that said, this is still a good movie. Really, like I say, really enjoyable entertainment scenes. It does have emotional depth. Like this franchise is not as standalone, this, like the rest of Daniel Craig's James Bond films, is not as standalone as the other Bond films, spanned out across the decades. They kind of, each one of them draws on events that happen in the other ones. And I would say with this film, this gives Daniel Craig's Bond the most complete story arc between all the other Bonds. We're going to exclude George Lazenby. He only had one film. But I would say with this finale, it gives Daniel Craig's the most complete story arc, because you saw him introduced in 2006's Casino Royale, and the events that happen in the films affect the other ones in ways that the other Bond films didn't kind of carry that across. And we got to see the character introduced, and then we got to see him at the end and how all the events led up to each other. And it gave the finale a little bit more weight, and made it so that because it wasn't so standalone, it really did feel like, this is a swan song of Daniel Craig's character. This is a finale. This is, you're seeing the end of his time as Bond. And I'm really grateful for that. It added some depth and gave you something more that you weren't seeing. And personally, you know, as someone who's a big James Bond fan, it was nice to see to see that story arc play out. And now it's kind of like its own contained series where, you know, all the other Bonds, you could kind of think about them. You could interplace, you know, any one character with the other one because it's James Bond. You know, it's supposed to be, you know, the same person that did all of these, but, you know, just in our world with a movie actor who's playing them, you know, we have to switch out the actors. But with this story arc, it really feels like, okay, well, no, that was Daniel Craig's James Bond. And so you got to see the beginning of that and you got to see the end of that. And that group of stories seems like it's, you know, it's its own contained series, it's its own contained package. And I'm really grateful that I was able to see that. I think it was well done, great swan song. And it's definitely something worth seeing in theaters. The big action scenes, the gunfights, the fist fights, the car chases, it's worth seeing in theaters and being able to experience that on the big screen. So 7.5 out of 10. Let me know what you all think. You may think I'm crazy, that this was the worst one ever. You think that, oh, Daniel Craig is the worst James Bond ever, or, you know, this was they could have done it so much better. But that's what I think. Write me a comment. We can talk about it. I will see you guys on the next one. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Thank you for your support. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you.